My name is Jermaine McPoyle, and I study mythical creatures at the University of Mythical Creatures. Well, when I was a young boy, I was walking in the park with my parents, you'll see. And a hippogriff flew down from above and slaughtered my mother and father. It was much like Bruce Wayne. And I said, "This was remarkable. I must study these creatures that have killed my parents in this way." And so I dedicated my life to studying magical creatures. As a child in elementary school, I went up to my teacher and I said, "Mrs. Teacher, I am going to study mythical creatures when I grow up." And she said, "Time out means time out, Jermaine. Go back to the corner." And I said, "Miss Teacher, you're not being very polite and open to my ambitions." And she said, "I'm going to pull a red card." So I burned the school to the ground, and I left that school. So I travelled far and wide, looking for mythical creatures. I found a goblin here and there. I found a mythical, if you're familiar with Harry Potter. All accurate, by the way. None of that is fiction. I travelled far and wide through fields and fountains, and I went around the fountains. I would have gotten wet otherwise, you'll see. But I travelled far and wide, looking for creatures, adding them to my portfolio. And eventually I said, we need a college of magical creatures. So I went up to 3 of my friends. One of them was a rock, which I had drawn a face with a Sharpie. I named him Clint. The other was a man who was also interested in mythical creatures because a basilisk had risen up from the sewers and strangled his grandmother in front of his eyes. Very sad. But his name was Dirt. So Dirt, Clint, and my other friend, well, he wasn't my friend, he was my conjoined twin, and his name was Sally. So Sally, Dirt, Clint and I started this school of mythical creatures, and it's been thriving ever since. That's the end of the question. That's my answer. It was very succinct. Certainly. So we travelled to the Himalayas, where, do you remember the video game Uncharted 2, where you have these tribesmen who take this chemical that enhances their abilities? That game is a documentary, actually, fun fact, and those people exist, except they're not people. They're actual woolly beasts. So we travelled to the Himalayas to investigate these woolly beasts. It's a good thing that we had Clint to protect us, because those beasts were vicious, and they tried to kill us, but we just rolled Clint on top of them and killed them instantly.